Well, that's a good question. I wish I knew the answer to it, to be honest with you. I think one of the things that separates the Centennial from some other conferences, this conference, from a men's lacrosse standpoint, has been doing it at a high level for a very long time. So it's extremely challenging to put yourself in position to move forward in the postseason and be in the top four. And honestly, it could be any team in the conference. And so how we prepare, how our guys handle adversity, and how they deal with the next 2 or 3 weeks leading up to spring break and getting into conference play is going to dictate where at least we fall. So, you know, everyone's got quality players, everyone's has quality coaching staff, and so, you know, you just try to do your best to handle your own business and take care of what you can take care of and see where the chips fall when you get on the field. I mean, I think there's a handful of teams that could win it. I think any team in the conference could make the top four, and you just never know who's got which guy coming back, which guy coming in, and everyone's going to be talented.
Same as always. It's going to be a dogfight. You know, there's no easy games in our conference, and I think from an overall perspective, people looked at the conference as being a little bit down last year, and it might have been, but I don't expect that again this year. I think every time we go out, you know, we had to fight, scratch and claw to come back in the last 2 minutes, you know, to beat Swarthmore last year. Haven't forgive us all that, you know, we could handle. There are no easy games in this conference, and I don't care what anybody says. So I see it. I don't know. I really don't know. I think it's going to be a dogfight for the top four, though.
Certainly anticipate it being strong as ever, competitive, top to bottom. Every game's an absolute battle. You know, I think I've heard some talk in different circles throughout the recruiting circuit and whatnot that maybe the Centennial had taken a step back last year, and I don't think that's accurate, but certainly expect us to, as a conference, to reassert ourselves and looking for multiple teams in the NCAA tournament. I think there's a lot of teams, and I know players and coaches in this conference that aspire to that, and I think a lot of teams are capable of that.
It's always such a good conference. I'm completely biased, of course, but I continually feel as though we have one of the best conferences, if not the best, in the country. There's a few other conferences that are really good with excellent teams in them. I just feel top to bottom, there's never a game that's not in question here. And no matter where anyone is in the standings, if they're the number 1 team playing the number 9 team at that point in time, that's going to be a good game. And so it's hard. Washington College was really dominant last year, and I certainly think that they've got a lot of guys coming back, so that roster looks great. F&M was one of the harder games we played last year, and they were all juniors. So those 2 teams I think really stand out to me. Ursinus is a team that has continually been getting better and better. Coach Steele has done an excellent job there. They were a lot of juniors last year, so with a great goaltender, and I really think that that's a team that hasn't been in the conference playoffs a lot, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them making a lot of noise in our conference this year.
Well, I think most of us are focused on our out-of-conference right now, but the conference in general, since I've been here, and certainly for many, many years prior to that, it's just tough from top to bottom. I think it's any team's opportunity this year, and it's who's going to put it together and play the best at the end. I know there's teams that are pretty darn good in our conference, and I don't know if there's a big difference between our top team at this point and what might be our bottom team at this point. I think every game, if you don't bring your A game, it's going to be a tough day for you. And I think from top to bottom, this is going to be a wide open year with a lot of good teams, and I know all of us are excited to get started with our out-of-conference schedule.
I think just like always, it's going to be one of the more competitive conferences in the country. From top to bottom, the fun part about the Centennial is anybody can win on any given day. And I think, last year was a little disappointing for the conference that we didn't get more teams make the NCAA tournament, and it's a little tough with the number of Pool C bids to where sometimes it makes it hard if you don't win the conference. But I think this year, and looking at recruiting classes and looking at who people have coming back, again, we're going to be one of the top conferences in the country, and I think you're going to see, a number of Centennial teams make a run in the NCAAs.
I think I've been thinking about this question since I saw it, and I think it's going to be interesting. And by interesting, I mean if you look at the last 2 years across our league, we've graduated some very, very good players. First-team All-Americans, Players of the Year. So some of the teams that have enjoyed success at the top of our league for the last couple of years are definitely missing some guys that were key parts of their success. So I think predicting it right now is probably difficult. Outside of the people that would say if you enjoy success one year, you should expect it again in the league. I think things could turn around a little bit this year because of that turnover. That I think is a little bit different than the previous 2 or 3 years, where we didn't have individual players making first team and Players of the Year kind of kids. And now the last couple of years we've had that, but those guys have graduated. So I think it's going to be interesting. I'm certainly excited about it.
I think it's going to be a battle. I think Washington, they lost a few kids, but they'll be great. I'm sure Dickinson will be better. I think Ursinus has got some really good players back, and they were a handful for sure. Swarthmore is always tough. F&M was very, very good last year, and I'm sure they'll be good. I think Muhlenberg will be better. I don't know. Haverford, even though they didn't have quite the year they wanted, they were no walk in the park. Boy, you had to play. So it's a really good league from top to bottom, and I don't even know who the bottom is anymore.
The conference is always strong. We've never had an easy conference game. Every team has excellent coaching, and more importantly, they've got great players. So it's a talented conference year in and year out. I think we've had 3 different teams win the conference championship in the last 5 years. So there's some depth there. So without seeing any video of other teams thus far, historically it's going to be another great year, I think.